Last we left off, the clutch was not disengaging, and as you can see, even after I depressed the pedal, I could not get the transmission in the fourth, even though we could see the slave cylinder moving. This is what you need for the top gearbox bolts that are in there. The car came with a modified pressure plate, which had double diaphragm springs, and we think that is the source of the clutch problem. And let me explain why. To accommodate the extra diaphragm spring, some of the pressure plate or flywheel friction surface had to be removed. My guess would be that the measurements for that were taken from a worn clutch disc. Since I've replaced the clutch disc to a brand new ASIN one, there was not enough space for the clutch disc to move anywhere. Now, it was time to choose the best flywheel and clutch parts from the used parts we had from previous clutch jobs. Green IS200 flywheel was way worn, so I'll be installing the Luck flywheel from the gray IS200. No use in installing an old clutch disc, since I've got a new one. However, the pressure plate from the green IS200 seemed to be in better condition. So the clutch is assembled from trash, all used parts. Hopefully it will hold. Or we will do sick clutch burnouts. The best plug for gearbox is a spray can cap with some electrical tape, not a drop spilt. So because this car has cut springs, for technical inspection you have to change them back to the stock. But it's easier to swap the whole shock out. So that's what we're gonna do. Let her down. Yep, it's a Jeep.
We're gonna go off-roading, right?
The things you have to do for technical inspection. Ew. I just noticed that my car has the Carolina squat. This was the first time the car drove on its own power since the engine rebuild started. Same strut change was required for the rear as well. Also, the differential was changed to an open one. At this point, I've also inspected all of the suspension ball joints and bushings. It seemed that I will need to replace pretty much everything quite soon. I've also decided to paint these. Yep, much tidier and much better than having them rusty and just an eyesore. So now to assemble the front, I need to fix the front bumper and the front fender supports. It should look like this, but this was already welded here, very crudely. In the other side, the bolt broke, so I drilled a hole and I'll just add a new bolt in there. Same for the fender support. And on this side, the whole bracketing was very crooked, and so once again I've drilled these holes, and now I'll need to once again weld this back with new bolts in place. After welding new bolts in, got the part painted. I think looks better than the blue previously. As you can see, there were some casualties while disassembling the car. I got this broken bolt. I think there were like 1 or 2 bolts down there that were broken. I will need to extract this bolt somehow, because without it I can't adjust the fitment and you get gaps like these. So hopefully I will be able to take this out. After taking off the fender, I cleaned up the bolt, and now I'll have to try to weld something on it to hopefully get this thing out of there. Got the bolt welded to the broken bolt, and now I think it's coming out. So yep, she's coming out. Okay, at least it's out now. Got the lip, the front grille, taillights, the fog lights, lip kit of course on the car. Almost complete. Furthermore, the side skirts are on, and I was trying to put the rear lip on, but as you can see, there's a huge hole, so I think it needs to go up a little bit because there's room everywhere. Of course, it's temporary. Because I installed the fog lights, I need to also fix the wiring that was previously just cut wires. Had these ends twisted on. I had no idea what the previous owner did there, but now I extended the wires, added new connectors, and I need to do this for the other side because the other side wiring looks like this, and obviously I can't connect there. So yeah, I have to change that. Looks OEM AF. And both sides are finished. What the hell happened here? After reassembly, I noticed that my mirror was adjusting only up and down, and if I tried to adjust it to the inside or outside, I would hear the motor kind of click and nothing would happen. And I thought I had a spare mirror, however it's for the other side. So now I'm trying to think of how to make one good from 2 bad ones. Hopefully this will work out. Fixed the mirror. The problem was this part. This was broken, so I took one of these from the spare mirror and put it on the correct side. Now it all works. Currently the problem is that the seat doesn't move, and as you can see here, there has been some modifications done. The old power wires and ground wires were cut and replaced with these 2 new that go through here. Instead of having one fuse, they put 2 slots in parallel and used 2 fuses. But they are also very cool because the fuses are blown. They have some little tiny wire through these connections, so these fuses are useless. So now I have to figure it out why the seat is not moving, even though as far as I can see all of the motors are connected, the switch is connected. Maybe it is the power problem, but the question still remains why the OEM wiring was cut. An update to the power seat debacle. The passenger side has completely the same thing done. It has also 2 places for the fuses. One was like broken, the other had like heat marks on it. Probably can't show it on GoPro, but it has some bluing. And now I'm thinking that probably this car was with the standard mechanical seats, and this is the way you add power seats to an Lexus S200. Now I have to figure it out why the other side does not work. Maybe it was just the fuses. After looking at the schematics at the factory service manual, it seems that this was added because these seats are from a facelift model, and my car, I think it is a pre-facelift, but I think it also had just the manual seats or something like that, because it didn't have the right connectors. So that's why one of the previous owners added these wires, and it seems that everything should work, so I just replaced the fuses, and hopefully this now will move. Yes, nice. As you can see, it moves now. Ah, yes. Oh, I also didn't show you that I replaced the broken part, and now the mirror moves in all directions and doesn't bind, which is nice. So I think that's pretty much it for what I need to do before the technical inspection. Hopefully the next part will be at the technical inspection place. That's it. The car is ready for technical inspection. Hopefully it will pass, although there are some components in the suspension which are quite suspicious and might fail, but I think everything else is okay. The headlights might need some adjustment, but other than that, I think everything works, everything is ready. Wish me luck. So the car is ready for technical inspection. Sadly, the car didn't pass technical inspection for the first time, but the defects are not that serious. The problem with this fog light is that it doesn't have a proper light radius, I guess, how it reflects the light, and it's probably, well, we cannot see it from here, but it's probably due to corroded reflector inside the fog light, and I've ordered a new one, but I will need to reopen them, because as you can see, this one was already painted black. The other side fog light was okay, just needs adjustment. Now, what I also found out was that this headlight was from a right-hand drive car. So I've got a new headlight, just it needs once again it was painted black, so it needs swapping over, and also it has like all of the mounting tabs broken off. One more thing was that the washer motor was not working. It was only because the plug was not put in completely, and when pressed a little bit harder it started to work. That's fine. And the last thing are these horns. These were not on the car when I bought it, so I added them, but it seems that the signal is not coming to them, even though we can hear the relay over there clicking. So the problem most likely it's the wire that's coming to them, so that should be an easy fix. New wire. Well, hello there. So I think I know why my horn was not working, also why temperature of the outside was not showing, and probably why air conditioning would not work. Well, at least it's an easy fix. Fixed the wiring, and now the horn actually works. Once again, the MacGyvered wiring strikes again. This time a rivet was used as a contact between the wire and the pin in the connector. At least the previous owner gave me a lot of old wiring, so just stole a pin from the other one, and it will be a nice fix here. The new pin is in. The only problem is that the colors change, but I can live with that. And hopefully that's the last of the electrical fixes. Today on Cooking with the Midnights, we're cooking fog lights. Get it at 80 degrees and leave it for a couple of minutes until you see that it's getting softer, and then just rip it apart. I've opened up the fog light, and I don't know if you can see it, but for me it's clear now why the fog light was having a bad light diffraction. Well, because the reflector is completely corroded, so no wonder it had a dark spot in the middle, because there is no reflective material there. And this is how it should look like. So hopefully when fully assembled this will be working mint. Now that I put the good pieces together, I'll need to heat them up again back to 90 degrees and squish them together, so hopefully they will seal properly. Once again, I put it at, I find that on 90 it's better. Take the lamp and cook it for okay, make sure that nothing is touching, and let's see. Okay, time for it to cook. So I got the lamps completely disassembled. So after you take the cover off, you need to max out the adjustment, and then you can just pry it out, the reflectors. So this is the UK one and this is the European one, and I have to put this back in here and then this cover on there. And now we have left-hand driver's side taillight, all in black, and with the tabs still on it. Now I need to put it on the car, and hopefully tomorrow we'll pass technical inspection. Everything's fixed, so the front lights have the correct angle of diffraction. Also the fog lights now are both shining. I think now it's good. Also the horn is working, and we got the motor working. So I think tomorrow we'll have technical inspection. The car did pass the technical inspection and can now be driven on public roads. It also received its first well-deserved bath in 2 years. Quick change back to lowering springs, proper wheels, and it was ready for the first meet, where we met a lot of other Lexus owners, mostly IS200s. Quite a few people turned up, even though it was drizzling at the start. Our turbo IS200 got quite a bit of attention, and got a ride in this supercharged IS200. That is all for now. Next time I'll talk about the turbo plans.